Music.
Hello and welcome to the EV Cafe News. 30 minutes of what's happening in zero emission transport. Now then, today we seem to have a couple of merry warriors in the house. We've got Sam Clark, bless you for being here, with his Huel t-shirt, sponsored by many people, but probably not Huel. You wear that through choice, presumably.
Sadly through choice, I'm afraid.
And we have the wonderful Sarah Sloman. How are you, Sarah, this morning?
Good, thank you. It's a very wonderfully sunny day here today. So I rode my e-bike into the office, which was rather pleasant.
Darn you. Now, I'm surprised you have an e-bike, because you're one of those real fitness fanatics.
Well, indeed, but remember, the e-bike replaces car journeys. If I was out to get well fit, then I'd probably use the normal bike, but it is wonderful.
And Daryl Sharp points out that you're sitting in a Bond villain chair. What would your Bond villain name be, I wonder?
Something like Electra Death.
Ooh, I like that one. What about you, Sam? Would it be Guinness World Record holder something?
Yeah.
I don't know. I can't think off the top of my head. You've completely stitched me up.
All right, then, let's grab a cuppa and plug in to see what's been happening in the zero emission world this week. And coming up, the UK government has no plans to introduce pay per mile vehicle road pricing. Woohoo! A national energy system operator has now been installed. Work has started on a £4.3 billion electricity superhighway, bringing lush renewables from Scotland to England Shire. More on that soon. Many companies urge the EU not to change the 2035 target. And Wiltshire's solar technology delivers significant carbon savings. Now then, before we go to that, this morning Ed Miliband has announced that there is a £21.5 billion investment being put into carbon capture over the next 25 years. My immediate reaction to that was, carbon capture, I'm not sure about it, don't know enough about it, but essentially we capture CO2 and then squirrel it through gas pipes under the sea into spent gas fields. Sarah, Sam, any thoughts on that announcement? In one hand, £21 billion of investment into carbon capture sounds like a good thing. Any risks associated, Sarah?
Yeah, thank you. It's something I do know a little bit about, but not enough. It's been 5 or 6 years since I touched on this sort of thing, but it's not just about that one technology to carbon capture. There's carbon capture and recycle, there's carbon capture and store, there's carbon capture and reuse. It's like the one I saw was completely crazy. It turned it into almost building bricks. So you can then use that material to build with.
Yes.
So it's captured forever. Because of course the worst thing about carbon capture is if you then release it later by accident or by some kind of silly non-foresight. So that's really all I've got, but I would love to do some more research on it.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting that we're seeing that level of investment over 25 years at £21.5 billion. It's a significant investment, Sam, and sends out the right signal, even if the technology is a little uncertain for people.
Yeah, it does, and it's uncertain to me as well. I mean, I know less than Sarah does on many things, but this is also another subject matter which I need to learn more on as well. But what is incredibly important, I think, is to ensure that what we're claiming and stating that the future holds for this technology, that it does indeed run true, right? So we don't want a position in 5 years' time. Actually, it's not quite what we said it was, because that's just going to cause all manner of pain. So we just need to make sure that what is being stated is indeed what's going to happen.
Yeah, and Rob Dustin makes a very interesting point, which is carbon capture investment at the point of a 22 billion black hole. As I say, that investment of 21 billion is over 25 years, so it's not adding massively to the black hole. But what it does do is it does indicate a direction of travel for the government and some action at last, which is good news.
Yeah, we can't look at these things in isolation either, Rob, as well. Don't forget. So a lot of this would have been factored into the economics of the roadmap for UK PLC for many years into the future. It might be offset against other cost savings in other parts of the economy. So it's not one thing compared to the other. I think that's a bit misleading.
Or worse, cynical. Sorry to interrupt you, John. The last point on this, the cynical view I had when I read it was like, okay, so that's great that they're promoting the offset that they're doing, but why are they doing that? Is there some huge, horribly polluting thing that's about to happen that they are now going to say they offset by doing this carbon capture? That worries me.
That's dark, but I love it. Speaking of the economy, let's move on to the government has insisted it has no plans to introduce paper mile road pricing as an alternative to other vehicle taxes. Vehicle excise duty was worth 7.4 billion to the UK in 22-23, with fuel duty raising just over £25 billion. However, with more electric vehicles joining the UK car park, the Treasury is facing a reduced tax take, and it's understood that ministers were looking at an alternative with a possible announcement in the budget. Earlier this year, think tank The Resolution Foundation suggested a new road duty for EVs levied at around 6 pence per mile plus VAT would offset the decline in fuel duty. But a government spokesman has now said we have no plans to introduce road pricing. We're committed to supporting our automotive sector as we transition to electric vehicles in order to meet our legally binding climate targets. Now, my immediate thoughts on this were that we raise £32.5 billion annually through vehicle excise duty and fuel tax. Where on earth does that money go to? A little bit of digging turns up that 6.1 billion was spent on national road maintenance and 4.5 billion on local road maintenance, repair and improvement, bringing in a total of 10.5 billion. Interestingly, we have a 22 billion pound unexplained revenue. Any thoughts? Sam?
My only thoughts is the government must have been listening, because we said the other week that road pricing was not going to be a viable option, and lo and behold, luckily the government agrees. So I don't know where this think tank got the information from, but the offset decline in fuel duty, we'll put the fuel duty up then, and we'll just don't call it fuel duty anymore. It's road fee duty or something, which we all need to contribute towards because we're all using the roads, and you pay more if you're more polluting. It's not rocket science. I don't know why we're trying to reinvent the wheel here with these suggestions when we could just use the current taxation system, but make sure that it reflects the vehicles on the road going forward. So I think this has been overcomplicated from the beginning. I think we just have to, grants and levies that goes towards electric vehicles need to be tapered off. And duties need to be reflective of the amount of vehicles and the type of vehicles that are used on the roads. I don't think it needs to be any more complicated than that, in my humble opinion.
Just to give it a sense of proportion, Sarah, there's nearly 27 billion is spent on the national railways every year. So you put that in context, 10.5 billion on all of the roads and maintenance and repair and servicing and all that stuff. 27 billion, 26.5 billion spent on the national railways. It's important that we invest in public transport, but the scale of that investment was something I hadn't really understood.
No, and thank you for getting such up-to-date stats and figures. I didn't have those, and all this talk of billions makes me really feel very villainous in my big chair. I wish it was me. But the other thing to remember, of course, is a lot of that money trickles down to really good things like highways improvements can mean cycle lanes, can mean bus lanes. So it's not just all about the electric car with our narrow electric car lens here. This is about thinking, would I be willing to pay a road tax equivalent for my electric vehicle? I don't know. I think I probably would. I used to pay £15 for my moped, £0 for my diesel. So I feel like I'd happily pay something nominal if I knew it was going to be spent in the right way. But I just don't have that faith. I don't think general public gets to understand where this money goes well enough.
No, not at all.
John, there's an interesting couple of comments from EVBino Ron Goffrey. He says, presumably it's only because there's no obvious way to measure miles to charge a paper mile solution. And then Ben McDonald straight afterwards says, it's not just pollution, it's a road space, etc. I'm a fan of paper mile. But of the two of them, I'm afraid EVBino gets my vote because it would be incredibly complex. There's tens of millions of vehicles out there already, and every single vehicle in the country would need to be telemetry-based monitoring to understand how many miles they're traveling, which means retrospectively, we'd have to somehow work out how to put all of that technology into existing and old vehicles as well as the new ones and have a universality in terms of the way that all that data is captured. It would cost billions trying to sort that out. It's completely over complex. So, it's just not a solution. It's not a viable solution for commercial reasons, if nothing else.
Now then, if you're watching, if you're listening, do give us your thoughts on this. Road pricing and paper mile. Is it something that you would accept? Is it something you'd absolutely hate? Let us know in the comments. I'm going to clear my throat and move on to the shout-outs. Now then, at 7:43 this morning, way before he should have, Toby Hiles logged in and sent a little note. Dear Mr. Curtis, please can you excuse Toby Hiles from today's edition of the EV Cafe News as he has a meeting he can't reschedule. Yours
My mum.
sincerely, my mum. Well, I did give him permission. I said, Mr. Hiles, you have a 1 week pass, providing you undertake to watch on catch up, plus provide me with 100 lines. I will not miss the EV Cafe News. Send those lines to sarah.sloman@evcafe.org. Thank you kindly. Any failure and you will be remonstrated with. Let's say hello to Scott Eady. He laughed at Toby. Poor Toby. Leon Gomez. Good morning, Leon. Daryl Sharp. He likes the note from Toby. Of course he does. Mark Elliott, thank you for joining us. You were the first one on LinkedIn this morning at 9:50. Bless your little cotton socks. EV Musings.
John,
Go on, Sam.
why does your name have a spanner next to it?
It's because I'm the admin. And I am a spanner. Been... EV Musings, Gary Comerford. He's here. Been a busy morning. Glad to take half an hour out to listen to the EV Cafe News. Bless you, mate. Big hugs coming your way very soon. Hope you'll be at either fully charged, Everything Electric or Fleet Mobility Live this next week. Lloyd Allen, he's in bed. He's got man flu, but he's still tuned into the EV Cafe. That is dedication.
Thank
Bless
you,
your
Lloyd.
heart.
Yeah,
Matthew
man up,
Ling.
Lloyd.
Sunny Suffolk. No sympathy from Sam there. Shocker. Matthew Ling in sunny Suffolk. Morning, my friend. Carl Elliott. Good morning. Michael Barton from sunny Bristol. Is it always sunny where you go, Michael? You're just wonderful. Jennifer Smith from Schneider Electric. Good morning from sunny North Yorkshire. We're going to be talking about North Yorkshire very soon. Rachel Lewis, good morning. David Cornish, EV Beano. Ron Godfrey, he's been mentioned. Bless you. Rob Dustin. Cloudy and dull pool. Oh, that's quite posh pool. Very nice. And got a nice pottery down that way. John Jesson. Hello, my friend. Again from sunny Bristol. We're big in Bristol, you know. Ashley Bannister, old two mugs himself. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Nick Hoolin. LinkedIn user. It's Peter Heath. He's got nice teeth.
Hooray!
Esther Jones. Good morning, Esther from the AA. Ben McDonald. Morning. Jim Blair was with the wonderful Dave yesterday from Arnold Clark, who was in talking about leasing with a group of businesses that we work with. Utterly brilliant. Arnold Clark doing some great things. Gemma Robinson. Greetings. Saw you on the EV rally. Lovely to have you here. Who else we got? Pam Hanlon from Power. Morning, peeps. Morning, you. Dog saying hi as well. Grace Carroll. I think that as more EVs are on the road, the socio-economic trends of current ownership will change. We'll need to forecast the cost impact on these groups down the road and whether this will impact on public opinion. Grace, with big words like socio-economic trends, I do begin to wonder if you're at the wrong place. But lovely to have you here. Thank you for that. Bradley King, hello. Jamie Fretwell, lovely to see you. Please do stay in touch. Rupesh Alagupandian, hello and welcome from Echo. And is that Echo? Thomas Edwards. And finally, Harpreet Singh managed to join us. Had a bit of trouble finding the link. We sent it to you personally. Thanks for reaching out. We knew you wanted to be here. And there's a LinkedIn user from Foggy Newbury. Is that a place?
Foggy.
Is that like Foggy Bottom?
That's Soggy Bottom.
Oh, soggy bottom, right? Okay, let's move on. The National Energy System Operator, or NESO, has been established on the 1st of October to deliver electricity decarbonisation and whole system planning to deliver net zero. This new organisation will have broad strategic oversight of both the electricity and gas systems, ensuring that Great Britain's energy infrastructure is secure, resilient, flexible and future-proof as the country decarbonises to reach net zero. NESO will bring together critical roles and responsibilities under one roof and will stand independent from both government and industry in delivery of its future work. The government has outlined new roles for NESO to support it in delivering a leading holistic approach to energy, and this whole system thinking approach will sit at the heart of NESO's work, ensuring that future challenges across a range of energy technologies, networks and economic sectors are adequately resolved and planned for. Now, this comes in the week that the last coal-fired power station did its final shift, which obviously is about people's jobs, and it's tough, but this is a massive opportunity for renewals renewables. And obviously, Sam, there's a real positive here that we've got one cohesive approach to our energy market.
Yes, but also we want to split that out as well, right? So we've got electricity and gas, are not twinned together in terms of their energy prices and influence. But yeah, NESO will bring together critical roles and responsibilities under one roof, and will stand independent from both government and industry. Okay, that's good, but also how much weight or power do they ultimately have?
Yeah, it's unclear whether it's a regulatory function, Sarah, and that causes me a little concern, because ultimately, do they have teeth to make things happen? Can't hear you. You've gone. Yeah, we've lost Sam and we've lost Sarah. So we'll move on to another story. Construction work on a 4.3 billion electricity superhighway between Scotland and England has started, with a groundbreaking ceremony taking place earlier this week. In a significant milestone in the step towards decarbonising the energy system, representatives from National Grid and SSEN Transmission took the first ceremonial spadefuls of earth, marking the start of a main construction at events held at either end of the subsea link. After travelling 436 kilometres under the sea from Peterhead, the subsea cable will come ashore on the East Yorkshire coast at Fraithorpe Sands, and then run underground for 68 kilometres to a new high voltage current converter station at our partners Drax. Once complete, it will unlock the rich renewable energy capacity of Scotland and significantly increase the UK's capacity to deliver clean energy for around 2 million homes. Lovely to have you both back. Sarah,
Am I back? Am I even back?
You are back.
That's so weird. So weird.
You had a comment on NESO before we moved on.
Thank you, that's kind. I was actually just supporting your article, saying if you took a lot of those words away, there's not very much in there at all. It was all very descriptive about how wonderful it's going to be. But I'm always like, what? What is it? Yeah. When is it? But what I would say is I do attend a lot of these sort of district network operator groups, and there is always the same complaint, which is that we're doing our best with what we've got, but we are under tight controls. And I just hope that that feedback loop between the end customer, which is business, plus the person setting the rules over there, is communicating the rules. So this might be what we've longed for a while, which is a very neutral body that it has to seamlessly stitch through before it becomes a decision. But yeah, strategy is only as good as your ability to communicate it. Let's just hope they've got the right people in there with big ears and loud mouths.
Speaking of big ears and loud mouths, Sam. The energy superhighway. This has to be great news that we're bringing more renewables from Scotland and delivering them into England. It's a massive investment.
Yeah, well, it is. It's fantastic. I don't know whether it feels like a massive investment to me. 4.3 billion. I know that's a big number, but what it can deliver over the next God knows how many decades is phenomenal, because the wind will still blow and those wind turbines will be generating energy for many years. So the ability to pull that energy into the center of the country or the north of the country and spread that around is absolutely phenomenal. So if it feels like 4.3 billion isn't a huge amount of money to do that sort of tunneling and distance traveling. I mean, that's 436 kilometers under the sea just to get from Peterhead is extraordinary. So yeah, I just think it's an amazing way in which we're doing our best to utilize the renewable energy supplies that we can generate in this country. So I know that's probably my favorite story, I think, for some time.
It's really optimistic, isn't it?
Got to be honest, that's the best thing that comes out of Peterhead.
big power cable. I would also say that how many million homes, John, did you say? I'm sorry, I didn't
2 million.
2 million. That's really interesting. I've been learning a lot more about energy from waste facilities. They've been 15 years old now. We know that, but they're getting more and more sophisticated, and the number of homes that they can power goes up and up and up. So the concept is you put your carrier bag in, and it's not an incinerator in its truest form. It gets chopped and blown and sorted and siphoned, and then anything that can be recycled and used again will absolutely be. And that tiny proportion, which is about between sort of 5 and 11%, yes, that goes to landfill, but the whole rest of it powers steam turbines, which directly powers homes nearby. So here alone in Gloucestershire is about 25,000 homes off one plant that you see on the M5. Just can't see anything wrong with that. It's really exciting. And they've just done one in Copenhagen that's got a ski slope on it. So that's exciting, isn't it? You can go and do outdoor winter sports on the factory, on the energy from waste facility, because it's that big.
I'm indebted to Grace Carroll, who has dumbed down her post. Bless you. Appreciate that,
She
because I'm a
just needs to
simple
do
soul.
that. She
You
does
say
need
it how you say it. We got it, really. I was just having a little jolly jape. Now then, Gary Comerford is going to be at Fleet Mobility Live and Everything Electric all 3 days. Gary, it's going to be great to get so many hugs. Tom Middleditch is somebody else who's going to be there from Europcar. Morning, my friend. Nice to see you. Ash Bannister is only called Ashley Bannister professionally, and by his mum. So he wants to be known as Ash. So from here on in, aforementioned Ash Bannister will be known as Ash, and he is attending Fleet Mobility also. And he'll be on the Alphabet stand on Tuesday. So pop by, say hi. Welcome to Chris Waghorn.
John, I'm putting Gary Comerford on notice that he's going to get barred if he's not careful.
Why?
Because, well, Evie Bino kindly pointed out there may or may not be a new electric forecourt being launched at Stevenage, and Gary said, "Is it off-spray charging?"
It's a legit question.
What? No, it's not. They would do very
Could
well,
be
I'm sure, but it
Instavolt.
isn't. It's
Could
a
be
grid
anyone.
serve charger. It's a grid serve like electric forecourt, of course. Gary knows that, and therefore he's on my naughty list. As good as off-spray are, it's a grid serve electric forecourt.
Daryl Sharp makes a very, very interesting point, and one that flashed across my mind. Is there a possibility that we will see more toll roads, possibly not like the M6, but AI-controlled ones where the cameras log your usage automatically?
Really interesting,
ANPR, I
actually.
guess.
Yeah, ANPR, John, precisely. I was about to say that. Lots of people don't know this, but when you're on the motorway and you go into an average speed check zone, if they're fully in their own rights to use your exit ANPR data to see how fast you travel to the next what's it called, average speed zone. So the end could be the entry. So you can use those across the board for even older license plates, but I still just,
No,
it's just too much.
no, every solution I've seen in the chat today, I can rip apart, to be honest. I mean, that again, it seems like a good idea, but that's motorways, right? You'd have to have it on every A road, possibly B
I
road.
know, yeah.
Can you imagine the cost? Can you imagine the cost of installing that and then maintaining it when people break it and vandalize it? And it's unimaginable cost and complexity.
It'd be like
Wow.
when people wind back their electric meter back in the old days, they put little
Yeah.
fake bits of plate over their normal plates just to avoid the 1,000 miles they're about to do.
Ben McDonald saying problem with ANPR is the number of fake plates.
Yeah,
This
I
is
bet
a world
there's
I know
loads, I bet
nothing
there's loads.
of. Golly, you
Yeah.
live in a dodgy part of the world, Ben McDonald. Pam Hanlon points out rightly that Power will also be there at the EV Cafe Village. We're looking forward to seeing you all there. If you are at Fleet Mobility Live or Everything Electric, do come for a hug. Now then, chief execs and executives from 50 companies have called on the EU not to change its 2035 zero emission target for cars and vans. In a public declaration, the executives from the automotive, clean technology, transport and energy sectors said the target of 2035 was feasible and necessary. The companies point out that the 2035 zero emission target received a democratic mandate from EU governments and MEPs in March 2023, and rather than reopening already agreed legislation, they say efforts should instead be focused on implementing what has already been agreed. And what's been agreed is targeted industrial policy and investment support for sustainable local battery value chain, rolling out charging and clean electricity supply, greening corporate fleets and reskilling workers for the electric transition. I wonder, Sarah, if this might have a knock-on effect. If we've got Europe maintaining this 2035 position, don't change it, don't move anything, because we can realistically deliver 2035. 2030 is going to be a challenge. And then what implications that might have for the ZEV mandate.
Yeah, I get the ambition. If you move the target and make it more impressive, then fine. But I like that idea of reality, and there's nothing I hate more than wasting time. And think of how many months and meetings and ledgers have been signed to get that 2035 agreed, and then they're moving it around. I'd be livid. I'm so glad I wasn't involved, and so I'm in full support of keeping the deadline, but actually closely monitoring it to make sure that it's going to be achieved. What I would hate to see is the 2035 slip to say 2040. Now, I wondered if this was tied in with, we covered this on the news as well, that sort of Chinese tariffing to make sure that Chinese market influx doesn't upheave local markets. And Germany are the only ones to have said no thank you to that, because they currently have a 16% import from China to meet their electric vehicle targets. So part of me thought that, well, you can't block them out if you've then got to make that target happen. So I'm watching the EU with interest at the moment with our subject.
I was having a conversation yesterday with somebody in the public sector who said that they were concerned about import tariffs on Chinese vehicles because in Scotland we export a great deal of whiskey to China. It's our major market. And there's that tit for tat thing that goes on.
That's what they said. Germany said the exact same thing. They were like,
Yeah.
we're anxious about the repercussions that China may instill on us when we have a 16% reliability currently on imports of their cars, but our exports to China are equally as high. So yeah, I think that's something to watch. They're probably being very mindful of that relationship.
Yeah, and Sam, 2030, 2035, or it really doesn't matter. Let's just get on with it.
Yep.
That's amazing. Yeah.
Yeah, we've been here before. Wiltshire Council and EV charging specialist 3TI Energy Hubs have officially launched their solar car park constructed from sustainable timber beams and solar panels. The solar car park at Five Rivers Health and Wellbeing Centre in Salisbury is supporting Wiltshire Council's commitment to be a carbon neutral organisation by 2030. 3TI worked closely with the Leisure Centre and Council to deliver its solar EV charging hub, Papilio 3. Built around an upcycled shipping container, it provides visitors and staff access to reliable, fast and safe EV charging. The solar car park structure is made from glulam, which are renewable, recyclable wood laminations bonded together to offer a natural alternative to steel or concrete. And that's the bit that really interested me of all this story. I mean, yeah, we've got this technology. We know we can deploy it locally. What's really interesting is that we're looking to find more sustainable alternatives to the construction of the things that we do. A lot of the chargers are made out of metal, which, you know, I absolutely understand in terms of their resilience, but from a sustainability perspective, is that so good? Sarah, your eyebrows were doing a dance.
Yeah, they do. I can move them completely independently. I was thinking carefully about the glulam timber frame. It's certainly something that Lloyd in Bed High we adopted in the West of England Combined Authority for rolling out of solar charging hubs there. But what I've got, as you know, I'm celebrating this year. It's my 20th year in infrastructure, and I started in Wiltshire Council in 2004. So I'm very pleased to see this going forward. This is really what I would call a showcase, a demonstration piece, because we know that the solar isn't going to power the cars. We get that. So I'm really pleased to hear there's a lot of other sustainability messages tied up, and that's a really central location in Salisbury, which is one of the biggest towns. And Wiltshire has got this strange, they've got incredible rural communities and then sort of hubs, cities, no cities, but just larger towns. So they're doing the best they can with the largest they've got, which is that Five Rivers place. So I'm really pleased to hear it. I'm going to go visit it.
Now, Sam, Michael Barton, he quotes a favourite film, and there are points if you can guess which film this is. He says, it's all about action, not words, and we need action now. And that's what Wiltshire Council are doing, isn't it? They're actually doing stuff. They're taking that opportunity to try new things that may or may not prove to be the right thing, but they're doing something. 62% of councils have no plans to electrify at all. So seeing Wiltshire do this has to be a positive thing.
Absolutely. Yeah, it is. I don't know what film that's from, but nonetheless, it's a very pertinent one for me. Yeah, action, not words. And although it's got the phrase "we need" in it, I mean, you know how much I'm hating that at the moment. I don't like "we need." We've got to get
we
on.
need to find out which film that's from.
Yeah, but it is good. It is good. It's innovation. It's utilizing the resources you have available, the space you've got available to generate local generation. You know, in some respects, it's not new news, right? Because everyone's already doing this in other areas. But it is also news because it's council led, because it's demonstrating, you know, the opportunity to use what is more expensive materials like glulam. You know, it's a lot costlier and needs maintaining more than steel or concrete. So there are other things commercially to consider with materials like that. Nevertheless, it's all positive news in the round, and should just be standard, right? All this stuff should just be everywhere, whether that be solar on commercial roofs or on car parks or in the fields adjacent. You know, we're doing something similar already at Cornwall Services with local generation there in a very similar fashion, and that's been running for several years now. So it's really good. It's good to see more of it, please, from everybody.
Well, John, if I'm not mistaken, our next EV Cafe webinar is going to be all about innovation in local authorities. And Lloyd Allen, you better get well for that, because you're our VIP speaker guest. So I think you better get better. You've only got 2 weeks.
You're quite right, Sarah. Now, Rob Dustin, this is going to be the final quote of the day. You can wait for perfection, but by action, the engineers can improve the solution.
That's good.
He is good,
That's
isn't
He
he?
is
Good.
good. Hi, Rob. Well done.
Yeah, you've added real value today. Thank you so much, all of you, for your comments. This has been the EV Cafe, and if you've got any clean transport PR or news stories you'd like us to cover, please send them to us at hello@evcafe.org. Until next Friday, it's goodbye from me, it's goodbye from them. Get well, Lloyd Allen. This has been an EV Cafe production. Other sustainability news services are available. Sarah looks around nervously, but this is just funner. The EV Cafe is truly blessed to be partnered with the AA, Webfleet, Europcar, Paythrough, Iveco, Zaptec, Drax, Spiri, Stuart Science, Hydrock, Allstar, Schneider Electric, and Dynamon. With the EV Cafe supporting the transition to clean transport. Enjoy the rest of your day and your weekend, wherever it takes you. I'm off to have a chat with these two monkeys. Until next Friday, bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Love how everybody's joining in the funner.
I